Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Is Superman going to be a hit or is it going to be a bomb? The long-range tracking, it's not even that long to be fair, mid-range tracking, has it opening really strongly in the States and going on to effectively be $1 billion hit, right? What is its profit margin though? How much profit will it make? What's its budget? We don't know any of these things. There is some rumours out there for its production budget being $300 million, which if that is the case is just sheer insanity, quite frankly. It's just dumb. I think all of these kind of figures, these hundreds of millions of dollars of figures they're just stupid. You know, these budgets for these films have to come down. It's unrealistic that they will continue in this way without an implosion, without Hollywood effectively just imploding in on itself. But there is an analysis here, and it's on the Wrap Pro actually, and they have it down as needing to get to about $700 million to be considered a success, because they think that the budget's somewhere in the region of like $200 to $225 million. Let's take a look though. Hit subscribe. Please do turn those bell notifications on if you're new here, but also if you're a returning viewer, check you are subscribed, or indeed, if you're not subscribed already, please do hit subscribe. Anyway, so like I said, this is Wrap Pro. And it's an interesting piece, you know, whether we can sort of dissect some of it and, I don't know, sort of not debunk any of it specifically, because we don't know. I mean, they don't even really know. I think some of this is guesswork from them. But it says, can Warner's DC Studios rise from the ashes with Superman? Analysis. So James Gunn's reboot not only aims to restart the entire DC universe, but is one of Warner Brothers' most crucial releases of the year, which is completely true. They've got a lot riding on this. There were some rumours floating around that they were trying to effectively make an oven-baked product ready to sell. Like a whole universe. You know, here's this established universe in one movie. Someone buy DC from us was basically the rumour that was going around. Don't know if that's the case. Doesn't seem to be the case. There's no rumours or rumblings of that now. It is interesting though just how jam-packed they've stacked Superman. It's a very, very packed out film with characters. So it says this: when Superman hits theatres on July 11th, more than just the future of the DC superhero wing hangs in the balance. So the opening salvo in a rebooted approach to an interconnected DC universe, Superman represents a make-or-break moment for Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's strategy to leverage DC's intellectual property after previous Warner regimes struggled for years to build a cohesive cinematic universe that connected with global audiences. Because it was just a mess. Like, that whole Snyder thing was just a mess. So the litmus test will be whether director and DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn's film will generate enough box office to keep his and co-CEO Peter Safran's ambitious 10-year plan for DC Studios on track, which has seemingly already started to fall apart. You know, James Gunn came out and was like, yeah, none of these are actually clear-cut, set in stone. So, right, okay, that's bad. Didn't you announce them as this is what we're going to be doing? So, with a $225 million budget. So that's what they're saying the budget is. I don't know. I don't know whether I agree that that's a realistic budget for this film. I think it's realistic that that is a figure that they would have paid. But I think maybe it's going to be more. This is something which unfortunately we'll never know, because they filmed it in the States. And they're never going to publicly file their tax returns like they do here in the UK, where they have to. 225 million seems awfully low. You know, we know for instance that the likes of Captain America: Brave New World was significantly more than that and looked garbage. So 225 million does seem low. I mean, it might be somewhere in the region of that, but they do say that needs to cross the $700 million threshold at the global box office to be considered a success, according to a top talent agent who spoke to the Wrap but wished to remain anonymous. Now, $700 million, you know, you're effectively just doing effectively three times the production budget. Normally it's like 2.5, 3 times. So it's kind of within that ballpark. Yeah. It's probably because we don't really know how much they've spent on marketing. For something like this, easily $100 million. That's not a stretch. So even if you're using their figures that they've given you here, it's 325 million. You know, that does put it at 650 million to break even. So it does make sense, actually, that $700 million would be a successful part. You know, that's profit of $150 million. I mean, that's good, right? That is good. You know, I'd love $150 million, right? Like that's good for them. Obviously, significantly more than that is obviously what they would want. But I can see where they're getting that $700 million figure from. So it says this: while release dates are important, I don't think the challenge is Jurassic World Rebirth or any other film, the agent said of the film's summer competition. The challenge is almost entirely a question of if Superman resonates with today's audience. Did they successfully update an Eisenhower-era character so the 2025 Gen Z audience can identify with him? The stakes couldn't be higher. The company is still carrying $37 billion in debt. Now, it is important when you read that, you're like, wow, that's a lot. Wow, they're really screwed. Disney has very similar quantities of debt, actually. Their debt's higher. But, yeah, $37 billion is still a significant amount of debt to have, and it's not good. So, yeah, not great. Now, obviously, that's from the Discovery Warner Media merger, making Superman's performance critical to Zaslav's future use of franchise IP, to drive both theatrical and streaming revenue. It's one of many IP pillars he reignited after the merger, along with HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series and a new Lord of the Rings film. In short, Superman is a major test, not just for superhero genre, but Zaslav's vision for Warner Brothers as a whole. And again, this 700 million threshold is mad. So the studio itself seems confident, according to one insider, if Superman grosses anything north of $500 million worldwide, the film will turn a profit at the box office. I don't see how they're factoring. That doesn't make sense to me. If you're just taking the production budget into account, then yeah, that makes sense. But marketing is still a thing. So yeah, in the court of public opinion, however, it will need to gross closer to 700 million to be considered a hit. I mean, it can do that, to be fair. There's no reason why it can't. Now, there's some other statements here. You know, the simple brand recognition of Superman will probably take them or close to $500 million worldwide. But anything above that will become the audience. Because the audience identifies with the character, talent agent said. So this is what they're saying. It's interesting. This is one of those things that you're looking at it like, oh yeah, again, Superman is the first in a 10-year plan of interconnected movies. But again, they have scrapped a whole bunch of that. So it's interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. You know, this Sergeant Rock was scrapped. Yeah, but there's a bunch of other stuff that they've scrapped as well. Now, here's another statement from the insider. It says, Supergirl is a much safer bet than, say, Sergeant Rock, which, despite a good package, is a property with zero awareness in the greater landscape. There are better superheroes ripe for adaptation in the DC library. This is true. So there you go. There you go. It's an interesting one. They think it's as little as $500 million to turn a profit, which is the case, actually, if you're just factoring in their production budget that they have quoted. $500 million is the break-even point, is the profitable point. Under, actually. So there you go. I don't have much else to say, really. $700 million to be considered a success. I think it will do that. You know, I don't actually care really about Superman, to be fair. Like, this isn't a bias from my perspective. Like, I just think it will probably do $700 million. I think Superman has the benefit of being one of the most worldwide recognizable characters in history. Like, that is just what he is. So $700 million should be easily doable. Not meaning that it's going to do it in like 2 weeks, but easily doable for its theatrical run. It shouldn't be like, wow, this is really struggling. It should do that quite comfortably. So there you go. I don't have much else to say. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. Drop it down below. Do you think they got their figures right? Do you not? Where do you think the break-even point, and what do you think would be considered a success? Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.